The following are 5 options you have for getting out of debt. Continue to make the minimum monthly payments or doing nothing about your debt. Debt consolidation. Credit counseling, otherwise known as debt management. Bankruptcy. And debt settlement, also known as debt negotiation. Struggling to get out of debt is an uphill battle for consumers who are only making the minimum monthly payments on their credit cards. However, if you're at the point where you're barely able to even make the minimum payments each month, or if you're using the available credit from one card to make payments on another, it's a clear sign that there's trouble. Just making the minimum payments each month will make it virtually impossible to get out of debt. With the high interest rates and the late fees the banks charge, continuing on this route will ensure that you stay in debt for decades. It also guarantees that you're paying the maximum amount on your debt. This is a position the banks favor, since the longer you stay in debt, the more you pay, and the more profits they make. The primary concern with credit cards is the interest rates. Once you start missing payments to your creditors, they have the right to increase those rates. This is written in the cardholders' agreements. Those initially lower and manageable 9 and 10% interest rates can dramatically increase to 20, 25, even 30% or more. Now you're caught fighting a losing battle just to pay the ever-increasing interest on your debt. Debt consolidation is the process where a lender pays off your unsecured debt and consolidates it into one loan that has a lower monthly payment. It sounds simple enough. However, in order to get the payments down to a reasonable and affordable amount, the interest rate needs to be low, around 11 to 12%, compared to the 18 to 25% you currently pay on your credit cards. Debt consolidation may seem like a good way to take control of your finances, but it really isn't, since there's a catch. With the financial position you're in, even if a lender does give you a loan, the only way they'll give it to you at that low of an interest rate is with some sort of collateral as security. And the most popular type of collateral is real estate. What the lender does is places a note on your home on the guarantee that you'll pay it back. So essentially what you're doing is trading unsecured debt for secured debt. And what happens next? If and when you start to fall behind on your payments, which most people do, the lender forecloses on your home. Now you've put yourself in a worse position than you were in when you started. You're still deep in debt for roughly the same amount as before, and on top of that, you may even lose your home. It's a position no one wants to be in. Even though debt consolidation is quite popular, its popularity doesn't make it a safe and sure way to get out of debt. Borrowing to get out of debt is not the way to deal with your financial problems. You only end up creating more. Do you really need to add the stress of possibly losing your home, too? Credit counseling, also known as debt management, is a program where consumers pay a consumer credit counseling service, or CCCS, to negotiate with their creditors in order to lower the interest rates and monthly payments on their debt. A single monthly payment is made to the agency, and they distribute the funds to the creditors. While this does lower both interest and monthly payments, it fails to deal with the core problem, the principal debt itself. The average time it takes to pay debt off through a credit counseling service is about 5 to 7 years. The length of the program depends on the amount of debt the consumer has and the monthly payments they can afford. The average interest rate that these services are able to negotiate down to is about 12 to 15%, depending on which creditor or bank holds the debt. However, just reducing the interest rate doesn't solve the problem, since the full amount of the debt has to be paid back, plus interest and fees. So $30,000 of debt turns into more than $40,000 that has to be paid back. Credit counseling may sound like a good way to get out of debt, but there are other factors to consider. Many credit counseling agencies label themselves as non-profit, which can be very misleading, since they charge fees for their services. The fees they tack on may not make them very affordable, and they usually end up costing more than originally anticipated. It's estimated that 75% of consumers who sign up for credit counseling end up dropping out of the program. They regress to their old habits, get further into debt, and are unable to keep up with the payments. Bankruptcy is an extreme means of eliminating debt, and an option that should be chosen as a last resort and avoided if possible. Of the 2 basic types, Chapter 7 involves a full discharge of unsecured debt, so that when emerging from this type of bankruptcy, the debtor owes nothing to their creditors. The other type, Chapter 13, often called reorganization, requires the debtor to pay back a portion of what is owed over a 3 to 5 year period. The length of the program depends on the amount of debt the debtor has and how much of a payment they can afford. The type of bankruptcy a consumer files depends on their financial situation, including how much debt the consumer has and the value of any assets they own. Such assets can be a car, a home, or anything else of tangible value. The trustee will normally decide the type of bankruptcy, and the bankruptcy attorney will advise of the best route to take. While Chapter 7 bankruptcy does clear all unsecured debt and stops the creditors from collecting, it has years of negative consequences. In 2008, there were over 1.1 million bankruptcy filings in the U.S., a staggering amount. Of those, over 740,000 were Chapter 7, and over 360,000 were Chapter 13, and over 96% of all bankruptcy filings were personal. This high number is likely due to the huge increase in credit card and other unsecured debt that consumers had taken on. If you decide that bankruptcy is your only option, whichever type your attorney and the courts determine is best, there are laws in place for the benefit of the consumer. In some cases, bankruptcy may be a suitable method of debt relief. However, it should be considered only as a last resort, when all other options are just not viable. While the creditor's threats and the collection agency's harassment can be stressful, there are serious consequences to filing bankruptcy, so don't file just to get creditors and collection agencies off your back. A bankruptcy will stay on your credit report for 7 to 10 years and will have negative long-term effects on your credit and your purchasing power. Since bankruptcy is a legal proceeding, you surrender your privacy because any information filed concerning your personal financial affairs becomes part of the public record. Here are the top 5 reasons why people go bankrupt. Medical expenses. 62% of all bankruptcies are due to unexpected medical expenses. Medical bills for serious illnesses or emergency medical procedures can cost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, which can wipe out savings that took years to build. Loss of employment. Whether due to being laid off because of cutbacks, being terminated, or even quitting, this can be financially devastating. The loss of employment, combined with the loss of health insurance coverage, can financially ruin anyone. Emergency funds run out very quickly, and before you know it, credit cards are maxed out. Poor use of credit. For those who cannot control spending, credit can be disastrous. Credit card bills spiral out of control until one day credit is maxed out and they cannot even afford to make the minimum payments. They then borrow money to pay off this debt, start spending again, and the cycle continues until there is nothing left. At this point, bankruptcy is their only option. Divorce. From the legal fees to the cost of settlement and child support, divorce can be very costly. The cost of legal fees alone can drive almost anyone into bankruptcy. On top of this, there's back child support, garnishment of wages, and other expenses that drive the final nail into the proverbial coffin. Unexpected expenses. Unexpected expenses can come in many forms, other than medical. Your car does not run and needs to be repaired. Your roof is leaking and needs to be fixed or replaced. Or a family member needs money for some type of emergency. Any of these unexpected expenses can be financially devastating. There are many reasons why consumers are left heavily in debt and forced into bankruptcy. For some, however, proper financial planning and being able to save can help alleviate these types of situations. For others, bankruptcy may be unavoidable or inevitable. Debt settlement, also known as debt negotiation, is a proven system through which unsecured debt is negotiated down to a fraction of what is owed to creditors. In exchange for a reduced payment, the creditor agrees to forgive the balance on the account. Debt settlement is the most cost-effective method to get you out of debt in the shortest period of time, and is a viable alternative to bankruptcy and its negative consequences. We understand the stress associated with mounting debt, so we show you how to manage and minimize creditor and collector calls and communications, which can be a major cause of stress. We also show you how to structure an affordable payment program based on a detailed analysis of your finances and monthly household budget that will quickly get you out of debt. Although we cannot guarantee any particular settlement amount, the Debt Settlement Bible teaches you how to dramatically reduce your debt by as much as 70% or more. Other programs like debt consolidation and credit counseling require you to pay back the full balance plus interest and fees. This adds thousands of dollars to debt and years to payment programs. With the Debt Settlement Bibles program, it can take as little as 12 to 36 months to eliminate your debt, versus the 5 to 8 years it can take with these other debt relief options. There are many advantages to the Debt Settlement Bible's Debt Settlement Program. We show you how to develop affordable monthly payments. Since you are doing your own negotiating, there are no settlement fees or service fees. You can pay off your debt in as little as 1 to 3 years versus the 5 to 8 years it takes with credit counseling and debt consolidation. It has the lowest payout compared to debt consolidation and credit counseling. It's a viable alternative to bankruptcy. We include information and material that shows you how to protect yourself from abusive creditors and collectors that violate the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA, and much, much more. Your escalating debt will not go away by itself, and ignoring it will only make matters worse. In order to break the trap of the debt cycle that minimum payments create, you need to pursue a plan that will eliminate the outstanding principal balance of your debt, rather than just the interest. Give yourself the freedom to move on with your life and not have the burden of debt on your shoulder. There is a better alternative. Don't give your hard-earned money away to any company that charges exorbitant fees. Do it yourself. Let the Debt Settlement Bible show you the benefits of debt negotiation. We show you how to develop a reasonable and affordable repayment plan to get out of debt cheaper and faster. In addition to this, we also show you how to analyze your current situation to determine the best approach for your circumstances. We're here to help. Let us show you how to break the debt cycle, take back control of your life, and get back your peace of mind. Get out of debt months faster with our program than with other plans requiring monthly service fees or settlement fees. Contact us now to get started on your road to debt freedom. Go to www.thedebtsettlementbible.com to get more information.